Hey everyone, so today I'm going to talk to you about 5 metrics that you should be tracking in the first 6 months of your site. So these are the first 6 months where you might be experiencing the sandbox effect. You're not feeling as if you're getting much traffic and you've got a lot of anxiety because you really want your website to succeed, but you're in early days and Google isn't really giving your website the love that you want it to give you. At the moment, I'm putting my next generation of sites through the sandbox, so they're at the end of their 4th month. And I'm feeling that anxiety too. I'm feeling that frustration at the moment as well, because it is a really frustrating time, that first 6 months of a website. When you get started, you're often staring at traffic metrics and wanting to see traffic come. Before you start seeing traffic come, there are some other metrics that you can look for to show how healthy your website is. And they're the ones I want to talk to you about today. So we'll look at 5 metrics you should be tracking in the first couple of months of your site, and 2 that you shouldn't. So let's start with the 2 that you probably shouldn't worry about, even though you do. Oh, before I go to them, these are the 4 things that you'll need to track the metrics. Google Analytics, which is free, and you should be putting Google Analytics on your site the first day that you start it. Google Search Console, again, it's free, and you should make sure that Google Search Console is connected to your site from day 1. Serp Robot is the rank tracker that I use. It's $5 a month. It's super cheap and it shows you really, really good metrics. And aHrefs Webmaster Tools, again, that's free and it shows you some amazing metrics as well. And so as I go through, I'll show you metrics from all 4 of these tools that'll help you understand your site's health a little bit better in the first few months. So let's get started now with those 2 that I think you shouldn't track. The first thing not to stress about is traffic. I know that, I'm always looking at Google Analytics saying, how much traffic did I get this morning? How much traffic did I get yesterday? All of that. And, what country did I get the traffic from? They're metrics that even though we worry about, we shouldn't be worrying about them. And the reason we shouldn't worry about them is, number one, in the early days, you're probably not going to get any traffic anyway. Don't stress, it'll come. And the second reason is it's a metric that you have no control over whatsoever. Okay, the next one is, this is in Google Analytics as well, bounce rate, pages per session, and session duration. So I've got a picture there of these things that you usually see on the front page of Google Analytics. So how many users were at a site, and you can see here, this is one of my newer sites where it only had 20 users this day, 33 sessions, number of sessions per user was 1.6. Pages per session there, and average session duration. People really worry about this, especially bounce rate. People stress so much about these figures. In the early days, these figures bounce around all over the place because there's not enough data for it to be useful. So that bounce rate that's at 54% at the moment, it's not going to stay at 54%. Once I'm getting 1,000 viewers a day to my website, then I'll be able to get more accurate metrics, and it's going to go up to 85-90% for sure. Average session duration's probably going to drop a lot from there, but guess what? Right now those metrics are inaccurate because there is not enough users coming to your site, so they're going to move around everywhere. And even once you've got a ton of users coming to your site, these metrics don't matter anyway. Bounce rate, for example, sometimes you only want someone to go to your site, get the data, and then disappear anyway. So bounce rate doesn't matter that much. One of my biggest site, it's hundreds of thousands of visitors a month. It's got a bounce rate of about 92%. It doesn't matter. My site's still making me plenty of money. Average session duration is down like 35, 45 seconds. It's still making me plenty of money. These are metrics people worry about, and they shouldn't worry about them, in my opinion. If you really want to see better metrics, like actual true bounce rate, I kind of have found that Ezoic's Big Data Analytics gives better metrics than this does, because Ezoic's Big Data Analytics is a lot more intrusive and it can kind of see what's going on a lot better. But even so, I don't worry about these metrics. They're not important metrics. Forget about them. So what should you be looking at? The first metric that's the most important metric is number of articles published. This is the thing that's in your control, and it's the most important task for you at the moment. The only thing that I would sort of caveat that I would say is you can't just write about anything. It needs to be long tail keywords, so things that are low competition. And I've talked about that elsewhere on this YouTube channel several times. But what I would recommend, and I would say as many articles as you possibly can write and challenge yourself each month. How many can I write this month? Set myself a challenge, try to beat last month. You can join our accountability group. We're partway through a month of accountability things at the moment, but each month I'm going to be restarting it. So you can go to nisafari.com and join the accountability group if you want to challenge yourself for how much content you create. And you can see how much content that I've created for all of my articles and my averages as well. But number of articles published, that's the most important metric in my opinion for a brand new website. The second one, something that we really need to look at, especially now that Google's having some of its indexing issues, is how many valid articles are indexed. The reason you want to check on Google Search Console, this is Google Search Console we're looking at here, make sure that your articles are indexed in the index, or else what's the point about writing them? It doesn't take very long to go and manually index them. If the manual indexing button is still there, people are speculating that Google is going to completely get rid of it because it's paused it just for the time being. But a really important thing is to make sure that your articles are being seen by Google and can be shown by Google on the search results. So if you don't have Google Search Console, or if you just want to be quicker, do it quicker, you can do all in URL and then the colon and then the URL of your website, your article that you want to Google to show. And if Google shows it when you do an all in URL colon search, then it means Google's got an index and it's possible for it to be seen. The other way you can do it is you can just go to Google Search Console and see whether those articles are valid. Now, one thing I would say is there's always going to be excluded articles. If you've got articles that are excluded and there's that dash feed after it, or if it's like dash page, dash one, things like that, they're supposed to be excluded anyway. So you just don't want articles in the excluded column that are the exact URL of the article that you want to be ranking in Google. The next metric is impressions. That is the purple line in Google Search Console. That's showing that Google is presenting your article on its results pages to potential visitors to your website. So that purple sign usually comes a little bit before the blue line, which is actual people clicking onto your website. So if you start seeing purple impressions, that's a really good sign, something to look out for before you see traffic. And then the next one is Serp Robot, your ranking positions. It's really fun to see this from day one. If you get Serp Robot, it's $5 a month, and you put in all of the keywords that you're trying to target for your article. Maybe there's one keyword per article. That's what I do, and you can start seeing your websites, your pages move up and up and up in the SERPs. So I'll give you an example here. This article here, it's ranked position 119, but it's jumped up 10 positions just yesterday. And over time, you'll slowly start seeing it move from 119, maybe up to 80, then 60, then 50. And then one day you'll see it in the top 10, and then you'll start seeing traffic coming. So this is another leading indicator. Before traffic comes, you start seeing these leading indicators like you moving up the SERPs, and that's a really good sign that your site is healthy, even if you're not getting any traffic in the sandbox. The last metric is the aHrefs Google Webmaster Tools Organic Keywords metric. And I love this metric. If you haven't got aHrefs Google Webmaster Tools, it's free. Just Google it, sign up to it, and they'll be able to give you all this data that Google Search Console doesn't give you. And one of the really cool bits of data that it shows you is literally all of your organic keywords. Whereas Google Search Console might give you a couple, aHrefs tracks all of your organic keywords and tells you how many you've got, how many you gained in the past week, things like that. So you can see here for this website, it gained 63 organic keywords last week to get it up to 67 in total. And when you click into that, where I just showed you Serp Robot, where you're tracking your single target keyword, in here you can see more keywords that your article's ranking for that you didn't even intend for it to rank for, but they're similar keywords. So say you're trying to rank for the best boxing gloves, you might accidentally rank for blue boxing gloves or a certain brand name of boxing gloves or something, and you get really excited and go, hey, this is a really good sign. The more keywords that I'm ranking for, the better, even if they're secondary keywords and not the actual target keywords. So it's a really interesting and great sort of tool to track what keywords your website is starting to be seen for. In there, you can also see your traffic growth, of course, although I said try to ignore traffic growth. And traffic growth in aHrefs is not very accurate anyway. And it tracks your backlinks, how many links are coming into your site. That backlinks tracker and the organic keywords tracker, I do think are more accurate than Google Search Console, because Google Search Console only gives you it doesn't give you all of the data. It gives you just a little snapshot or a couple of little things that it wants to release you, but it doesn't want you to see all of the data, whereas aHrefs does. So you can track your backlinks and your organic keywords in aHrefs. So they're all metrics that you can look at early on while you're in the sandbox to see whether or not your site is healthy and whether it's growing, even if you're not getting traffic yet. And you can see things like whether you're getting secondary keywords starting to rank, whether your actual target keywords are going up in the Serps. Those sorts of things are easier to track than traffic, and they're leading indicators that happen before you start seeing traffic. If you've got any other metrics that you like to track while you're in the sandbox, leave a comment below. And hopefully if you are in the sandbox right now, you can go and have a look at these metrics, and it might put your mind at a little bit of ease knowing that there's going to be traffic coming soon because I'm getting these keywords and I'm moving up the Serp robot rankings, and all the good things are happening that happen before I finally start seeing traffic.